Hello, everyone. Me and Charlie on one screen, Garrett on another this week, so you will not be able to see. So if Garrett's talking, you won't be able to see us. If we're talking, you won't be able to see Garrett. So you want the fancy little windows down there. But Garrett, say hi and let the people know you're here.
Hey, what's going on, guys? It's the Duke of Derps here. No, I'm kidding.
Christ. This is the VE Squadcast, Visokii Entertainment Squadcast, episode 5. So
yeah.
Five-time podcast. Let's hop right into it. Stop the presses. We get a couple injuries to talk about. So Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair, both news came out about injuries. Alexa Bliss suffered an injury, and an injury was kind of brought to the attention of the general public with Charlotte this week. So Alexa Bliss is fine. So we're good. She wrestled the main event last night, so we're good. Charlotte popped her boob. And this happened apparently before WrestleMania. She had a breast implant that ruptured, and if you guys don't know, like that can cause a bunch of infections and stuff. Like it must have not been too crazy at the time. Must have been okay for her to wrestle, but she wants to get it taken care of. That way, she's back in time for SummerSlam. This makes me ask though, Charlie, why did they have Charlotte win that match last week?
Yeah, we'll talk about it a little more later, but I have no idea where that call came from at all.
It was the wrong call, even if Charlotte was healthy. But
yeah,
whatever. Garrett, what do you think about Charlotte missing some time? As long as she's back by SummerSlam, are you cool with it, or you think it's going to hurt the TV for a little while?
Oh, okay. So I actually did see a bunch of people talking. Recently they've been giving like Absolution and some other people, Carmella, that they necessarily aren't the best talkers. I disagree with Carmella because I think she's a good talker. But anyway, I think it won't hurt her personally, but it may hurt the brand. Yeah, if you don't have a big personality, this could give Asuka more of a spotlight, perhaps, as she could just be going out there just killing people. I don't know, but I did have to report this for my personal like radio report that I do on Thursdays, and I referred to it as a fairly personal injury because I didn't know how to say it without.
True.
You know what I mean? Like
that's a good way to put it. She popped her boob.
Yeah, no, I didn't want to say that because it's radio or whatever, but like yeah.
Oh, Brady.
She did that. Yeah, but yeah, no, yeah, it could result in that. I don't know.
And it's a little weird. I guess Hangouts did change, so I can see you down in the corner, Garrett. It's a little weird. Used to be that if you had two people, it's just a full screen. Anyway, so let's throw it over. Charlie, you've been following New Japan. They just had a big event, right? We saw a couple title changes. What titles changed, and is Okada ever going to lose the title?
So Okada's at about 700 days, and he will pass it because he's
consecutive.
Yeah, and if there was a reign of Naito's for 10 weeks, and if that didn't happen, he would easily be at 3 years. Like
he's basically had the title for the last like 3.5 years with a 2-month span off.
So yeah, so the title's lost. Minoru Suzuki lost to Tetsuya Naito, and that was the Intercontinental Championship. And now we got Jericho, who came back and is challenging for that title, and that is June 9th. So that is Wrestling Dominion. That's like their second biggest show in Japan. So kind of our SummerSlam. Best way to look at it. And then let's see, we had the Bullet Club beat the Bullet Club for the 6-man Open Championships.
Nice.
So the Young Bucks and Marty Scurll are champions. Young Bucks have finally declared their heavyweight status, and they are challenging for the titles at Dominion. So it's their first time going for the heavyweight titles.
So is that what it is? You just declare yourself as in a different weight class?
More or less. They put on a good amount. I don't know the exact amount, but it looks like they put on 15 pounds. So they're looking bigger, and they're now heavyweights. Yes, the Brawlic Meat Lockers. And who else? Damn it, I'm forgetting. There was another one that just
the junior. Was it the junior title?
Will Ospreay defeated Kushida, which is really big for him. So they're having the Best of the Super Juniors tournament this month.
Because we're looking it up, and Ospreay had the title, and then lost it to Scurll, and then Scurll lost it right back to Ospreay. And now Ospreay successfully defended it 3 times. And in New Japan, that's all. They don't really care about days. It's all about like how many successful title defenses do you have.
Mm-hmm.
And we're looking up like the IC title with Nakamura, and he had 17 title defenses, and the next closest guy was like 8. So it's a big deal.
So yeah, the big stuff is Naito, Jericho, and Okada and Omega 4 is no time limit, 2 out of 3 falls. So people are thinking it's going to go like an hour and a half.
Jesus,
which is just nuts.
That match is going to be, I imagine, probably even better than the other 3.
They're just going to have a match to the death.
Literally. A lot of people are thinking that might be where Kenny wins it. Because it's not guaranteed, but it's kind of written that this is going to be his final year in Japan. Because Kenny kept saying he wanted to do one thing with the Golden Lovers. He wanted to reunite that and then have one last run with that. And then.
Interesting. So yeah, go check out New Japan if it's something you're interested in, because God knows WWE is on a little bit of a downturn. And that's why this week I don't have the video pulled up, because I'm obviously not at home. I'm right here. This is not this line right here is actually a corner of the room. We're not split. And
that's pretty good, actually.
And and that'd be kind of funny if it was, though. And God, I don't even know where was I going. Oh yeah, we're gonna start with Cross himself.
Okay.
I will start with my first segment. All of Backlash, with the exception of one match, which Garrett will talk about later. It was real bad. I knew going into it, and it's funny because I've said over and over again, I would rather think that the pay-per-view is gonna be terrible, and then it over delivers. Under promise, over deliver. This pay-per-view, for me, I was not hyped going into it at all. Fell asleep multiple times watching it. And I think halfway through it, I just turned on my Xbox and just kind of had it on in the background on the other screen on my setup. I didn't even sit on the couch and watch the second half of it. That's kind of what I'll do sometimes if I get bored with Raw, is I'll be doing work on one monitor on my computer, and on the other, I just kind of have it on, and if something catches my eye, then I'll flip over. But nothing caught my eye. I watched it. I was like, great. Charlotte, Asuka, or Charlotte, Carmella. What was it? Lashley and Strowman.
Yeah, versus
Owens and Zayn. I don't care. I didn't care about any of it, and none of the matches were even good. So, except for one, like we said. Garrett, what was your crossing himself?
So, jumping off of Backlash, I really didn't like the way that that Roman Reigns versus Samoa Joe ended, or the way that it went at all. It just seemed like that was the perfect opportunity. Not that Joe needs it, I don't think, even now. But I mean, if you're gonna have Joe say all this stuff, and then just the whole thing is he's a man of his word, right? Are they just trying to own him? I don't understand where this comes from, right? What is it? Telling him don't get injured, because that would be kind of messed up. I don't get what management's idea is here, No,
I mean, neither. I mean,
it's another one of those things. I talk about it all the time, where they just try to do the thing that nobody thinks will ever happen because they want to get you, And it's that's not good television, though. I mean, it to not know is good, but to be but this would be more interesting if it did happen.
I mean, how many movies do you watch where it starts, it's happy, life's going good, you build the character, the main character, they're going through life, they meet some sort of obstacle in the road, they start to conquer it, something goes horribly wrong, their whole life is crushed, they build it back up, and it's a happy ending, and then the movie is done. It happens over and over and over again. In WWE, it's they did that so much, and it worked to such success, but they're like, oh, well, we don't want to just do the same thing again, because then a couple people online will be like, oh, this is the same exact storyline as 1995, whatever.
Yeah.
Because people will do that. Okay, well, who cares? If it works, and it's good television, like you're saying. So it's all about being good TV, in my opinion.
Very true.
Charlie, what was your crossing himself?
So we had this news break about Charlotte, and this plays into it now. So they had Charlotte beat Peyton Royce clean to qualify for Money in the Bank. And Peyton Royce and Billie Kay just beat Asuka, which, apparently now means nothing because everyone's beating her now. But, yeah, and then this news breaks that she's hurt. So it just boggles the mind even more. Why was this the call? I don't know. It just felt. My thing with Money in the Bank is if they're already in the title picture, they don't need it. That's kind of my personal opinion is.
It's better to find someone that they can get built through the Money in the Bank.
And Charlotte literally was at the title match 2 days
Well,
ago.
it's like, remember when they let Cena win Money in the Bank? It was like, oh.
It's stuff.
And they had to go back on that later. So, you know.
Yeah, it's like.
I just want to hit on something really important that we haven't really talked about on the podcast. The SmackDown women's division is in like chaos right now because, like you said, now everyone's beating Asuka. Like Charlotte beat Asuka, right? But then the next month, Carmella beats Charlotte clean. So does that mean that Carmella's better than Asuka too?
Yeah,
I mean,
she's the champ
right now.
And then Peyton Royce and Billie Kay also just beat Asuka. So does that mean they could beat Carmella, or that Carmella could beat? There's no logic to it now. It's just, which is kind of cool. You don't know what's going to happen, but at the same time, it just confuses the audience, especially people if you're trying to draw on people.
Looking, and when none of them have character, it's just is what it is.
And they had Becky Lynch lose again. I mean, that could be the cross himself this week too.
Yeah.
Becky Lynch is probably the lowest tier right now because Naomi just won the Battle Royal, so she's higher. So, which is crazy.
Let's talk about stuff we liked. Garrett, what did you like?
Yeah, you mentioned it before. The one good match on Backlash was the IC title match between The Miz and I almost said Finn Balor, Seth Rollins.
It was really good.
It was really good. And people that say that The Miz is like a moderately good worker, I think are crazy. He does not like AJ Styles level of work, but like he's way over the last 10 years improved himself in the ring. It's what he's always been working at because he didn't have that coming in. He didn't have that experience of being on the indies for 18 years like some people do, you know? So he had to build that rapport and have a really good character to compensate for his lack of in-ring ability. And this just showcased everything that The Miz has learned over the last 10 years, I feel like, in this one match with a guy that clearly he trusts in the ring because they did a bunch of crazy stuff, you know?
They're busting out stuff left and right, man.
I mean, and you were thinking like, Miz, are you sure? You know, on some of the spots, and you know, and they did something The Miz has always been really good at is that storytelling in the match. Like he and Rollins really did a really better job, I think, than even Rollins and Triple H a couple of years ago when the people said that match was amazing because of the storytelling in the ring. I think this match is even more with just Rollins. I think it's a testament to Rollins that he's been in 2 matches where the storytelling is one of the things people will talk about coming out of it, you know.
Oh, yeah, they went in and killed it.
I think I would watch Rollins, Balor, and Miz in the various triple threats, 2-0s, and whatever for like the next 6 months, even though obviously that's not going to happen. But, you know, I would watch that all the time, you know. Miz is great. Yeah.
Yeah. Charlie?
Yeah, I would have to go with now this is kind of the opposite of my worst. Rusev going over Daniel Bryan to qualify for Money in the Bank. I mean, this is a perfect example. This guy is as over, like, organically as you can get.
And Daniel Bryan could have a title match anytime he wants.
Yep. Daniel Bryan does not need that briefcase. And we'll get it. I mean, Strowman doesn't either, but we'll let that slide. And I think this is just, I think that was such a perfect call that maybe they're changing their mind. Maybe they realize, oh, well, if this guy's this over, let's just do it. But, you know, they had Baron Corbin lose to John Cena and Jinder Mahal last year.
He dropped that briefcase last year. That shows you it doesn't matter if you have it or not. They'll just drop you sometimes.
But I don't know. I'm hoping that this is going in the right direction. And he beat him clean, man. There was no hope for Maiden. So that's a huge win.
I agree. My first class segment of the week. It's got a common denominator with Garrett's, and that's Seth Rollins going against Mojo Rawley on Raw. I think it was great. I think Mojo Rawley showed some fire, and I think Rollins, just his character of being the workhorse, is fantastic. This is what they should have done with Cesaro 2 years ago, and just keep rolling with it. Rollins should just be known as that guy. He's kind of like Kenny Omega is in New Japan right now, where people just expect him to put on great matches one after the other, and I think Rollins is turning into that guy in WWE, so I like it.
Can you imagine that tag team of Rollins and Omega? Oof.
Fun stuff.
Dude, who was the tag team I was saying? Oh, we were watching last night. I said, can you imagine a tag team if they called up Gargano and put him with Daniel Bryan?
Oh, talk about your biggest babyface push of all time.
Like, my God. People would go nuts. Johnny Wrestling. Yes, yes, yes. People would be going nuts. All right. Garrett, I'm throwing it over to you because we want to talk some hockey, some Falls Count Anywhere, because your Washington Capitals didn't choke in the first round this year.
They didn't choke in the second round either. It's amazing. Yeah, I know. The first time in 19 years that in the playoffs they beat the Pittsburgh Penguins. It's funny because every year so far, I've since I started being really into hockey, I've talked with you about it, Brady. And every year you're like, oh, they're gonna choke at the playoffs. I'm like, yeah, but they're a regular season team.
Absolutely. It's not that Washington is like a 3 or 4 seed every year. There was a span where they were a 1 or 2 seed for 10 straight years and got knocked out every
year. And it was always by the Pittsburgh Penguins. So the last couple of years, I don't know if the NHL just noticed that was kind of the trend and they kind of wanted to push that back, maybe build a little bit more of, an underdog story for the Caps. Excuse me. But, yeah, so I watched it live as it happened. I jumped in the third period because I was going to flip on SmackDown or Raw or something this week when the game was on. And I was like, it's the third period, whatever. I can jump in and watch this. It was 1-1, and then it was 1-1 all the way into about probably 17 minutes left in overtime or something like that. And then OV just broke away from the pack, got all over Murray, got the goal in there. And I know I'm going to censor it because it's on the show, but he was saying it in his head. They asked him afterward, and Ovechkin was like, just score, just please score, he just wanted to get it done. He knows that this is his time. Do I think they're going to win the cup this year? No, but I think it's not that I don't think they can. I think they absolutely have the possibility. I just think there's some seriously solid teams in there this year. And but this proves that it is possible for this particular Caps team to go all the way. I think, I think it is a possibility. You've got 2 phenomenal players in TJ Oshie and especially goal scoring and Alex Ovechkin. And, it's just really awesome watching them come together, and they were getting all over. They were and this is the funny thing. I thought throughout most of the game, Pittsburgh was all over us. And then all of a sudden, just at the end, they just brought it back. It was awesome to see. And I want to see where it goes. So, and this will be another segment probably on the show if they do go on to win or if they go on to keep going on. So look out for that if that does happen. But yeah, so I'm just happy that they finally made it. 19 years. Whew.
And I think it's funny because obviously they're not in the Stanley Cup yet, but that for the past 10 years or so, since Ovechkin and Crosby have both been in the league, Crosby was always seen as the pretty boy, for wrestling terms, a heel, and Ovechkin was the toothless goal scorer that everyone loved,
the toothless baby face. Yeah,
exactly, and with not much of a baby face. His face is not very baby face at all. He is not an attractive man, to say the least. But everyone was rooting for them, and they were the underdogs. And so people kept saying, "Oh my God, Washington looks so good this year." And Washington would always be a 1 or 2 seed, and Pittsburgh would just barely sneak in the playoffs. But then Pittsburgh would find a way to win, and they beat Capitals every year. And it's like, oh, come on, Washington. So it's funny that just when people have started giving up on Washington, they make the Eastern Conference Finals. So
hell yeah,
all right. Let's get over here, Charlie. Get out the phone. 80 seconds.
Of course.
How do
I'll click on this.
Jesus, man. Max. Whoever. If you use a Mac, you're a freak. You're a slug.
I mean, I'm not. You're not wrong.
Are we ready?
We'll be now.
All right. The rest of Backlash is terrible, as we talked about. Braun Strowman, everything he's in is great, but I think them pushing Strowman the way they are is destined to failure. No Way Jose has been doing fine, I guess. Baron Corbin didn't even get a qualifying match, but I like what they're doing on Raw in that every match has stakes because every match is can they impress Kurt Angle to try to get a qualifying match over the next couple weeks? That's good. Ember Moon deserves to be champion sooner rather than later. She's great, but they'll probably start 50-50 booking. She'll be terrible. Chad Gable versus Jinder Mahal happened.
She'll be terrible.
Heath Slater and Rhino got beat up by McIntyre and Ziggler. I like what they're doing with McIntyre and Ziggler. We've been saying it every week. I didn't put it as a best of because we've been talking about it so much. Bobby Roode and Elias faced. Blah. Already talked about Rollins and Raleigh. Matt Hardy looks really slow. It looks like he's injured all the time. Facing Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel with Bray Wyatt, the leader of worlds. They're looking all right. The rest of Raw was all of SmackDown is centered around Daniel Bryan. Can we just talk about how Jeff Hardy does not look too great? The difference between the IC title and the United States title is vastly different now. We already talked about Peyton Royce. She hopefully will get slid into that spot. Maybe that's what they were planning all along.
Yeah.
And Cesaro faced Xavier Woods, and
that's it. They had loads of pancakes.
Cesaro won, and their bags were full of pancakes. Yes. So hold on, let me see if I get it. All right, hit the minimize button, right, and then we'll pop up.
Yep.
All right, hey, we're good. All right. So that'll do for this week. Make sure you guys keep a lookout for next week. Man, I hope WWE stops out of this.
And look out for, in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to have Bro Strike back out. So
there you go.
All right. And I won't be posting anything. There's also an uproar in my town over getting rid of me. So there's a Facebook page with 12,000 people on it, and there's an uproar currently going on between parents and my principal. I'm trying to lay low, Garrett.
I understand why.
All right. Till next time. See ya.